This week on One Crazy Story, comedian Chad Daniels joins us to talk about what it's like to tour in China and to talk about the time he blacked out after a show.
And there's 4 cops eating breakfast burritos, and one of them goes, "Where are you going?" Because I'm jingling my keys like a dipshit.
Right.
And he goes, "Where are you going?" I go, "Oh, I got to drive to." He goes, "You're not driving anywhere."
They saw you blow into the machine, too. They're like, "No, we saw that."
Yeah, and I go, "Well, these things aren't accurate." There's no way. This is like a fun, dumb game.
It seems like a stupid bargain.
Right. Then the guy goes, "Well, let's find out. Blow into mine." And I was like, is this really happening right now?
Hello and welcome to another edition of One Crazy Story. I'm your host, Nate Armbruster, and this week I'm talking with comedian Chad Daniels. Now, you may know Chad from his numerous television appearances, such as Conan, Comedy Central, and in the recent documentary, I Need You to Kill, which follows Chad and fellow comedians Tom Segura and Pete Lee as they tour China, and they kind of get a taste of the comedy scene in China, which I watched on iTunes, and I'm telling you folks, it's a pretty cool documentary. It's pretty cool. It follows these 3 guys touring all sorts of cities in China, and it's pretty awesome to see 3 comics kind of uprooted and thrown into a different country and see how they adapt, how they change their show, how they feel about the shows, and just them messing around with each other throughout the trip. It's pretty cool to see. So if you're into comedy and comedians, it's definitely worth the watch. You can buy it on iTunes. Definitely worth checking out. So this is a fun one for me. It's kind of cool how this came about. I never actually met Chad in person, and not until last month I bumped into him once, and it was super brief. I don't think he even remembered me. I forgot to mention it to him when we were actually recording this, but yeah, so I met him briefly, and I was like, I wonder if Chad would do this. So I was in Chicago last weekend, saw that Chad was also in town performing at Zanies in Rosemont. I just sent him a message out of the blue, and he was kind enough to sit down with me. We had a great conversation. Talked about a lot of cool stuff, what it was like to tour in China, what it's like touring with his kids in America, because his kids are now, getting older. I think one's 18 and the other's 14, so he gets to take his kids on the road, which is a pretty cool experience. So we talked about all sorts of stuff, really, and it's just a fun conversation. I did give Chad a heads up before we recorded that, it's called One Crazy Story. So usually I like to hear about something ridiculous that's happened to the guest, whoever it is I'm talking to. And Chad shares a good road story about a time he blacked out after a show, and the last time he really got wasted after a show. It's easy to get drunk at a show, especially when you're the comedian. The drinks are free. People send you drinks, and that's exactly what happened to Chad. People started sending him shots of Jaeger, which, that always starts the evening off right, doesn't it? Which ended up with Chad blacking out and piecing the whole night together the next day over breakfast. So it's pretty amazing how he found out what happened to him. It's just a funny story, and thank God nothing bad happened, man. When you get drunk like that, it's really easy to mess something up. So I guess the moral of this story is don't drink and drive, and I don't know, be careful. I don't know. Anyway, not good with advice. So do me a favor, go over to chaddaniels.com, find out where Chad is performing. He tours all over the country. I'm telling you, he's everywhere, so there's no excuse for you to not see him. And if you do go see him, tell him you heard about him on my podcast. But if you can't see him live at the moment, go over to Pandora, make a Chad Daniels station, stream his new album, Footprints on the Moon, which is also available on his website, iTunes, all of that stuff. And actually, Chad was kind enough to let me play a track because I think he's so funny. And this is one of my favorite tracks off the new album. It's called Passport. So here it is. Check it out. And as soon as this episode's over, go on over to Pandora and make that Chad Daniels station. You won't regret it.
When I go home, I will pick up my kids and we will go to IHOP because that is our new tradition. I love it so much. We talk about the week. I show them pictures of the city I was in. And we can have syrup fights and whipped cream fights because IHOP is already at its maximum stickiness. Right? One time I grabbed my son's arm and held it down on the table, and he had to chisel it off with a butter knife. That is a true story. So one day I just gotten back from Vancouver, and I picked him up, and we went to IHOP. And we were hanging out, having a great time. I was showing him pictures of Whistler and stuff, and then the guy brings the bill, and I give him my credit card, and he goes, okay, I need an ID for that. And I go, yeah, no problem. I only have my passport because I just flew in from Canada. And he said, we don't take those. And I said, yep, you do. And he said, I need a driver's license. And I said, that is a passport. And he said, I need a state-issued ID. And I said, have you heard of the states that have become united? Because there are 50 of them, and they all got together and made me that book. That's like 49 extra driver's licenses. As a matter of fact, if you handed me your driver's license, I would use it as a bookmark in my passport. And he grabbed it and threw it into my lap, and he goes, that's an ID to travel around the world. And my daughter goes, isn't this the International House of Pancakes? Yeah. So I'm laughing just like you. I am slapping the table so hard that the knife jumped off the plate. That's how hard I slapped the table. And I feel kicking under the table, and I look at her and I go, what are you doing? She goes, why are you laughing? And I go, because that's hilarious. And she goes, why? And I was like, oh my God. You stumbled upon the funniest thing I've heard in 2 years? I found out later she was trying to reason with this guy and be on my team. Like if she was wearing glasses, she would have ripped them off her face and just been like, sir, does it not make sense that a passport made by these United States of America would be a sufficient form of identification at the International House of Pancakes? Case dismissed. So, the manager comes over, and he puts his hand on my shoulder, and he goes, hey, just so you know, we do take passports here. And I go, yep, we know that. I go, maybe you should head on back to the kitchen and WikiLeak that to your team. Because I think that's where the problem lies. And so the manager walked away, and the waiter walked away, and my son, you guys remember him? He goes, hey, next time we have that guy as a waiter, we should pay with $2 bills and watch him shit his pants. I seriously might be raising two of the funniest people that I am going to have to pick up from jail. Because you know it's going to happen. My son is definitely going to get arrested for being a smartass because he doesn't know how to hone his funny yet. He'll get pulled over. I need to see your driver's license, please. Have you heard of the 50 states? Maybe use it as a bookmark. Maybe we could do that. Sir, I'm going to need you to get out of the car. What about, and then, no!
One of my favorite tracks off of Chad Daniels' latest album, Footprints on the Moon. Go make that Pandora station. Follow him on Twitter. Go to his website, chaddaniels.com. Do it now. Well, after you're done listening. Also, keep in touch with me. Find me on Twitter at OneCrazyStory, at Nate Comedy. All of that stuff everywhere. Just Google it. Get in touch with me, OneCrazyStory@gmail.com. So that's enough of my BS. Enjoy this week's episode with myself and comedian Chad Daniels. What's up with this lady next to you at the hotel?
She, I can't tell if she's on a phone or if she's talking to someone in the room. But today she was saying, well, I just want to be friends, and I'm going to let him know right off the bat because I'm kind of seeing someone back home. But last night, someone was having sex in that room.
Oh, really?
So I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Maybe you should have told that guy.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's funny.
And it wasn't like masturbation.
So it's that obnoxious. Like this shit you can actually hear
her so well.
Yeah.
There've been a couple times where she's opened and closed her door and no fault of hers.
Uh-huh.
But I think someone's trying to get into my room.
Yeah. That's annoying.
So
it's always like my least favorite to stay when there's a hockey tournament or a baseball tournament in the hotel, and you're like, shit, can you put me on wherever is not near those kids?
Right. Because
they're just playing in the hall and shit. It's so obnoxious.
It's like American Gladiator. You have to get through all these kids to get to your room.
When you walk out, it's like there's like mini sticks and pucks flying everywhere, and you're like, Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm. There's been a couple times, actually, though, that I've just played with them.
Yeah, that's great.
Until a parent showed up and was like, who's this old man playing with the kids? Like, all right, guys, catch you later.
You don't get it. I like hockey.
Call a couple of them by name. Robbie, Tommy, catch you later. And they're like, who in the fuck are you, dude?
227. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Defense. It's all good. You get to know all these kids playing. That's hilarious. So congrats on the new album.
Hey, thanks.
You recorded that at Acme, right?
I didn't. I recorded it at Comedy on State in Madison, Wisconsin.
All right.
And I was going to record it in Cincinnati because I love the club Go Bananas.
Yeah.
It's such a hot club. And then Joe, one of the managers at the Comedy on State, was like, well, why don't you we have new sound equipment. Let's just record something. And then Saturday early show was the album.
Yeah. You just did the one take
anything.
pretty much?
I mean,
That's
it was
great.
nuts.
Yeah, because sometimes it's convenient to record the whole week and then like, oh, if that Joe.
But that crowd was just on fire.
Yeah, that was a great, because it made, it did well, like it made the Billboard charts, right?
It did, yeah. It was on the top 10 of the Billboard charts for 6 months.
That's huge.
Yeah, it was pretty great. And
you've got a few Conan appearances and also the new, with that documentary you just did.
I Need You to Kill?
Yeah, which I was like, what is this? I saw it on like Comedy Dynamics promoting it or whatever, and I was like, what is this? Chad Daniels, Pete Lee, and Tom Segura go to China together, all under the Acme. Like they tied Minneapolis into it a lot.
Yeah, so the idea of it was the owner of Acme in Minneapolis he grew up in China. And so he wanted to go there and he wanted to have us do shows, and then somehow along the line, so he wanted to see how we would do there, but then also wanted to kind of talk to the bookers over there and have them try to skip over the downslide that happened in America with comedy after the boom.
So it's booming there?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yep. And so he just wanted to say, like, you need to do these things. Don't put so many people up. Don't put the people that are doing the same jokes up. Because it became so oversaturated here in America. He's trying to defend against that.
Yeah, and he's got a great blueprint for how to run a successful club for sure.
He sure does. Yeah, Acme is on, almost everybody's top 5. Amy Schumer, I didn't read it with my own eyes, but I heard someone say that she had a top 10 list of comedy clubs, and Acme was on there, and she'd never worked.
That's amazing. Wow, yeah, and she'd never been there.
Yeah, she'd been there for, she did a Doug Loves Movies there, but she just had heard so many great things about it that she put it on her list too.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Well, they even showed the clip of Louis on the Tonight Show talking about it.
Yeah, because Louis Lee, the owner of Acme, was the first person to really pay Louis what he was selling.
Mm-hmm.
He gave him $10,000.
That's huge. Such a great club. And you went with Tom Segura and Pete Lee. Now, you know Pete because you guys both started.
Yeah, we started together. Yeah, at Acme,
And neither of you knew Tom, at least when because this is a big tour. I mean, you're going over across the world. You're not just going to Omaha or something.
Yeah, and this is, so I met Tom in the Seattle airport. He had flown up from LA. I flew over from Minneapolis. And then we were on the same flight and then just became real chummy. We were good friends by the end of it. And but I'd never met him.
That's such an interesting, just to be thrown into, sometimes it's nice just in comedy, if you don't know the person you're working with, and then by the end of the week, you're really good friends.
Yeah.
But a tour to China really makes you bond.
Yeah, it's the ropes course for sure.
You guys are fucking with each other and stuff. And then Pete showed up at a later time than you guys or something.
Yeah, he came in on a different flight, and he was with his wife, so it was a different dynamic. His wife at the time, they're no longer together, but it was just a different dynamic for him. He wanted to have guy time.
Right.
But you brought your wife, Pete.
Yeah, it was so funny. You guys were busting balls. It's great. I really liked it a lot.
It was a blast. It was really fun to do.
And then what year did you guys actually do the tour? Because I know the movie just came out.
Yeah, it was maybe 2 years ago. Let's see. September, it would have been 2 years ago.
Okay.
And then this was right when Segura was getting on his rocket ship.
Yeah.
Because since then, he's just
perfect
exploded.
Timing for this, to get him to do something like that.
Absolutely.
Before it was
if you think I won't ride a coattail, you're fucking crazy, because I will.
Yeah, right. So this whole podcast that I know you know probably nothing about.
Listen to the Mark Norman.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
So it give you an idea of what, kind of how it sounds or whatever.
Yeah, I had a story when I worked in, it's a work story.
Like a comedy work story?
Yeah, La Crosse, Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah. Which room there? Because there's a couple of
one-nighter. I can't remember. There was a show there at night, but then during the day, they served breakfast burritos. That's all I know.
Was it in the hotel that you were staying in? Okay, so this is a different one. This is at least different room.
Yeah, I think you
than
might
I'm
be thinking of
of
the haberdashery.
Yeah, because when did all this go down?
Oh, man. A long 10 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, and you've been doing stand-up for 15?
19?
19? Yeah. Wow, almost 20. Damn.
Yeah. It's gross to think about that way.
Well, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if I don't know. I think it's something to be proud of. You've done a lot of cool shit.
It is cool. It's like,
see, it's different when it's like I'm 20 years and you're like featuring this weekend and you're like, I'm like, yeah, maybe.
Sure. Yeah, I guess that's true. But it's just like you think about, holy shit, 20 years.
I know that
it took so long to get where I always wanted to be.
Yeah.
But, I feel like the fun is in the chase too.
Well, that's the thing is like, if you could just skip to, if you could just pick a career, it's like, yeah, we'd all love to be like a Tom Segura, but what's the point in having that if you don't put in the work,
I agree. It has to be.
It wouldn't be fun. Like if I just did that tomorrow, if I was him, I'd eat shit every night. You know what I mean? Like it's just like one of those, you have to develop to get to that level. And,
you do have to earn it. And with him, he could, and he has.
And deliver.
Told his fans to go fuck themselves, and they're like, "Oh my god, he was talking to us.
He told me to fuck off."
Yeah, man, they love it,
and that's just hilarious. And and he's just being himself, and and he also delivered with the, it's just like one of those. I feel like comedy is the only thing that if you just don't ever stop, eventually, as long as you get better too. But if you have to just keep doing it, because
I keep commenting on his Instagram. And he finally goes, "Are you going to continue to do this?"
This is great.
Finally called me out on it. Because every month I'll post some bullshit joke about his picture.
Just make fun of him or whatever.
Just to see what his fans have to say about it.
Yeah.
And just because I'm bored as shit. I live in northern Minnesota. When my daughter's at school, my son doesn't live with me. When my daughter's at school, it's like,
I'm on the internet.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I got
what do I do?
Just ticking away at my phone. Hey, there's a picture.
Great. But that's also just funny. Because you can bust balls from two sides of the country,
that is the best.
And like I thought that because that documentary, I had no clue what it was. I'm like, this just seems interesting to me, so I rented it on iTunes and watching the three comedian, like you guys are all together. It's like a whole chemistry that it's fun to watch how you and Tom started fucking with each other, and then when he went up and did both of yours opening jokes.
So great.
It's just like, that's the funniest thing. And then watching you go, fuck, that's hilarious. And then, Pete got upset, at
awesome.
least in the documentary, that's how it showed. But I just was like, I'd be like, the fuck? But I'd also be like, that's just hilarious. And the fact that someone has the balls to do that to someone else.
Oh, it's great.
It's so funny. It's worth it to me just to watch you guys fuck with each other.
Yeah, it was a really fun trip. I'd love to do more stuff like that. That's why I like doing festivals. I just got a new agent and a new manager, and they were like, "Well, where do you want to work?" And I was like, "Every single festival."
Yeah,
because it's like summer camp for comedians.
Yeah. It's like I was just over at Laugh Fest, just hanging out. I didn't do any Laugh Fest shows. I had my own thing that I did, and I was like, while I was there, I went to all these other shows, and
cool.
it feels like a work event, like like a conference. Like, there's just comedians everywhere, and normally it's people you don't see because everybody's gone on the weekends.
Exactly. Yeah, it's people. So when you're on. When you're working the same spot as other people, like the middle spot or the headliner spot, you don't work with any other middles or any other headliners. So it is fun to get together and see everybody, and then the ball busting is at its best.
Oh yeah, absolutely, because it's always usually the funniest people too, so they're like really good at it. Sorry to derail this off of lacrosse, but this is about 10 years ago.
Yeah, so. It was about 10 years ago, and this is about when I started making the rule no drinking before a show or on stage. Because my thought process was asshole and drunken asshole are two very different complaints to a comedy club manager.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a college town. People are sending me their $1 Jager bombs.
Oh, God.
And I was like, here's the deal. Line up, just keep them at the bar, and I'll do them, but I'm not doing them during my show.
And you said this on stage?
Yeah. I go, because one of the servers brought me a shot, and I go, just put it at the bar, and I'll do it when I'm done. I promise you I'll do it. But when I got back there was a whole fucking line of these things.
$1 Jager bombs?
Yeah.
That's absurd.
They have Jagermeister in a tap, like on tap. So I did these shots. And then
all of them?
Yeah. And then there was live music afterwards. And I remember the music starting, and I remember having a ton of fun and really enjoying the band. Then I woke up in my hotel room, and it was morning time, and I had plastic shards in my pocket, rocks in my pocket. My whole right thigh was a bruise with I'm talking different layers. So purple, green,
my God.
And then in the epicenter, yellow. Looked jaundiced.
Oh, shit.
So I call the middle act and I say, hey, man, what happened?
Just what happened, not what happened last night. We both know what I'm talking about.
Yep. So he goes, well, I don't know. You started playing the kibasa. I think that's what it's called. It's it's basically a bunch of metal beads on a wooden stick.
Uh-huh.
And he goes, you went up with the band and you started playing it and you were playing it against your leg. Okay, there's the bruise.
Okay, yeah.
Got it.
Which is kind of a relief in a way. You're like, I didn't get hit by a car.
Right.
Because
exactly.
It's kind of like, that's ridiculous.
I'm starting to put it together.
That's the best way to find out how I got this bruise.
Yeah. I mean, it could have been anything.
Yeah.
Could have been an injection site.
Right.
We don't know.
Did I shoot up for the first time incorrectly?
Just keep the heroin at the bar. I'll do it after the show.
Yeah, right. Because the next thing you know, they're sending me heroin.
Yeah. So he goes, then I left. You were still on stage and I left. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay. So I go.
There was no getting you off that stage.
Right.
Yeah.
He goes, do you know where, I go, do you know where my car is? And he goes, no. And so I walk around the parking lot and I'm like, please don't be here. I should not be driving.
Right.
It's not there. So he brings me back to the bar. And now this place, it serves breakfast burritos in the morning.
Yeah.
So I have my keys. I go in to make sure I don't have a tab because I don't want to, owe money. And then on my way out, they have one of these breathalyzer machines that you put a straw in and then you blow.
Yeah.
And just to be dumb, I did it.
In the morning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I blew a .13.
In the morning?
In the morning time.
Good God.
Yep. That's not healthy.
No. It's a good thing you couldn't drive.
No kidding.
Back, even in the morning.
Yeah.
You're not.
So I try to leave. I know. I try to leave and there's 4 cops eating breakfast burritos and one of them goes, where are you going? Because I'm jingling my keys like a dipshit.
Right.
And he goes, where are you going? I go, oh, I got to drive to. He goes, you're not driving anywhere.
They saw you blow into the machine too. They're like, no, we saw that.
Yeah. And I go, well, these things aren't accurate. There's no way. This is like a fun, dumb game.
It seems like a
thing.
stupid bar game.
But then the guy goes, well, let's find out. Blow into mine. And I was like, is this really happening right now? So I blow into his, and I'll be goddamn .13.
Wow, so they were pretty accurate.
They were accurate.
Wow.
So he goes, you can't drive. I'm not going to let you drive. So he goes, sit down. I'll buy you a breakfast burrito.
That's awesome.
And I was like, this is amazing.
Right?
I'm going to do this.
You thought, yeah, because I thought a cop would be a huge dick about it. Like, because they can't do anything because you were about to fuck up.
Right.
But they were nice enough to not let you fuck up.
No, these 4 were really cool dudes.
Yeah, because you could see him being like, we'll just wait for this asshole. Well, this is easy.
Yeah, I've been pulled over by just very few police officers that you look in their eyes and you can tell they jerk off to Captain America before their shift.
Yeah.
But these 4 were not, and it hasn't happened that often when I say that.
Yeah. Well, that's cool though. That's cool that they were at least like, fuck it, we'll just have a burrito. We'll talk. Because I thought you were gonna say like they were at the bar last night and they're like, no, we got a lot of shit to talk about here.
No. So we sit down and have a burrito, and then the guy's little shoulder walkie-talkie goes off, and he goes, the guy goes, hey, whatever, he goes, where are you guys? And they start talking, and he goes, oh, we're having breakfast burritos at, I can't remember the name of the place, but we're having breakfast burritos here. And the guy goes, oh, man, do I have a story for you? So now it's going off the thing.
They're just telling stories over their walkie-talkies.
Yeah. And he goes,
straight out of a movie.
There was a comedian there last night. And so I'm driving around, and I'm driving by the old junkyard about a mile away from that place, and there's a person standing in the junkyard looking at a car.
What?
So I drive by about 10 minutes later, he's still looking at the car. And so I got out of my car and I approached him and I said, what are you doing? And he said, I can't find my hotel. I'm thinking about sleeping in this car.
You said that shit.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God.
So Then he goes, I looked at his key card for the hotel. I pointed him in the right direction. Then
he just, you're clearly you're about to sleep in a junkyard.
And he let me go.
And
this is a big college town.
But let you go, which I get, but like maybe give the guy a ride. You don't have to, but telling you in that state of mind, because I feel like a cop would be like, have to be like really nice to be like, let's give you a ride. One of those.
I've been blacked out before where my best of friends couldn't tell.
Mm-hmm. So you hide it well.
I think so.
Yeah, people who are really good at being blacked out can hide it sometimes.
Yeah, which is ridiculous because I don't black out that often.
Yeah.
Or I haven't in the past. I don't anymore ever, but
he was just like, here you go, guy.
He was like, the hotel is over here. Just it's a straight shot.
Yeah.
So
and you could pass for a college student at this time, probably.
I mean, somebody that took a couple years off.
Yeah, you're a grad
and
student.
Went back to
you're great.
So shit. Right now they'd be like, Professor, we got to get you home.
Yeah, that'd be like Dean.
So
Dr. Daniels.
Yeah, no kidding. I got PhD. Sleep in this car. So I guess I start to walk back to the hotel. I must get lost again because now the guy's telling the story. I saw him again walking through an alley, and when I pulled into the alley, he got down on the ground like he was being arrested.
Holy shit.
And he pulled everything out of his pockets. And so I asked him, why did you pull everything out of your pockets? He said, I didn't want you to think I had a weapon.
Holy shit.
And he goes, he had a CD. There was a band there last night, and he had a CD from him, and he stepped all over it. So those are for the rocks and the shards of plastic.
So okay, so you're putting the pieces together slowly through a cop's radio.
Yeah, I threw all my stuff and gathered it up and put it in my pocket with rocks from the gravel alley.
Yeah. So this is all adding up at this point.
Yeah.
And still kind of comforting to know that this is the worst it got. But nothing awful has happened yet, and
so he goes. At this point, I put him in the car, and I bring him to the hotel, and actually walked him to his room to make sure he was in his room.
Oh man!
And he goes, "Can you believe that?" And the guy goes, "Sure can. Got him right here. Just blew a .13." That's insane.
That's so funny, and it's so in a way they did know who you were.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Oh my God, man! That I'm glad everything went all right.
Me too.
And did you? So you guys sat down, enjoyed your breakfast, burritos, and did you have another show there the next night?
No, I had to drive to the next show.
Yeah,
because that was just a one-night show. So.
Yeah. Oh man, what a morning you've had.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's hilarious that the cops even were like, yeah, blew a .13. Yep. He was definitely that's him.
We got him right here. Because they had asked me why I was there and what I was doing, and I told them I was a comedian at the show the night before. Mm-hmm. So they did know. But
I wish I could have sat at this table just to feel like how is everybody at this table not like, this is fucking happening right now?
They were busting my balls hard after that story.
Oh my God.
Yeah. As I'm walking out, they're like, yeah, to get to your car, you don't need to go through any alleys. Just like killing me, but.
That's so great. That's awesome that the cops were so cool to you.
They were really neat. I would imagine in a college town,
you see so much shit.
Some real dopey shit.
Yeah.
So I'm sure at this point they're just writing a memoir.
Yeah. I want to talk. I want to get the cops' perspective on their morning how this happened. I gotta go. Next time I'm in La Crosse, I'll be bothering them. Be like, any cops in town remember a guy named Chad Daniels?
Maybe you'd remember him more by .13.
Yes, that's what we call Mr. .13, Chad Daniels. Thank you so much for taking time out of your Saturday to be on my podcast.
It's truly my pleasure.
What's coming up for you? Anything you want to share? I know you got a new website, which looks pretty sweet.
Yeah, thanks, man. ChadDaniels.com, new website. All my dates are on there. Not all of them. So I'm booked throughout the year, but the tickets aren't on sale yet.
Okay.
So once they go on sale, I'll be adding more and more dates to it. And you can contact me and
you're pretty much all over the country. It's like, I mean, everywhere. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, it's nice. It's get to bring my kids once in a while.
Oh, what's that really like traveling with the kids? Because your kids are now, they're old enough to where it's like, I mean, they're not kids. You know?
My son's 18 and my daughter's 14.
Yeah, so you can actually, I mean, not I don't know, this might sound bad, but you can actually go have a good time with them. You know, like you can
that
go
doesn't
out and do shit.
Absolutely.
You know, it's not like a baby. You gotta, you know, just hang out in the room.
They're not constantly needing you for everything.
Yes,
it's great.
Yeah,
and they're really individual travelers, self-sufficient travelers, I should say. I'm doing a run coming up: Memphis, St. Louis, Louisville, Nashville, Huntsville, Alabama, Atlanta.
All one nights,
all one-offs. Yeah, and so I'm bringing my daughter to that, taking her out of school for the week.
That's so cool.
And we're gonna go cruise around and kind of follow the civil rights trail, and I'm really looking forward to this.
She's probably pumped about that too.
She is. I don't know if she's pumped about how much I'm going to try to teach her about life, but
what a way to learn. What a way to grow up though, with the dad on the road and like you get to go with them.
Yeah, you know, I think that I was gone when they. I mean, not all the time. I'd always go home every week after I was done
working. You
missed
a significant amount of volleyball games.
Yeah,
I
missed stuff, and so it's nice for me now to be able to use traveling to my advantage.
Yeah.
I brought my son with me, who I talk about a lot in my act, and I brought him to San Francisco, and he was sitting outside the club. I was outside the club shaking hands and stuff, and he was like 10 feet away from me, and this woman comes out and she goes, "What does your son think of your comedy?" And I was like, "Why don't you ask him?" And she was like, "Oh my God, I've loved you since you were a little boy," and hugged him and took a picture. She was an older lady, so it wasn't creepy, but took a picture with him.
That's hilarious.
All that shit. It was nuts.
And you do talk about him a lot on stage too. Like in the show.
Because I think I do better when I'm talking about things that I'm emotionally invested in.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I love these fucking kids more than anything.
And
in
they're
the whole
such a huge part of your life too.
Right.
I mean,
So I mean, it's basically, you know, I've wanted to do two things in my life, and since I was a little kid, and it was be a dad and be a comedian. So if I get to mix them, holy shit, it's perfect.
Dude, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's great.
That is so cool. So you're taking the daughter on the trip. Have you taken her anywhere else?
Yeah, she's been to San Francisco as well.
Yeah. Do you ever take them both together?
I don't.
Yeah.
I like to have my individual time. Otherwise, it's like sometimes on the road, three's a crowd, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because somebody's, you know, doing something they don't want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One of them, see, like the daughter might be in the history and your son's into sports.
Right.
You know, you're not going to, one of them's going to be miserable for a little bit.
Well, it was crazy because when my daughter went, she wanted to see everything. We took a boat tour. We went to the ocean. We swam. It was great because everyone was like, the ocean's cold. You're going to be cold. And she'd tell everybody, I'm from Minnesota. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
And then,
any of those lakes.
Yeah, we saw everything.
Yeah.
And then my son, when he got there, he wanted to go. At the time, I guess he was 18, but they were going on dates and finding Pokemon. That was a big thing in the town where I live.
Oh, yeah.
And so that was what date night would be. They'd go find these Pokemon.
Wow.
So he wanted to go around San Francisco and get the coolest Pokemon because they don't have them in northern Minnesota.
Well, yeah, and that's
we have like 3 of them, and and
he looks cool as hell when he goes back and he's like, "See what I got?"
That's what he was thinking. He was like, "Look at all these.
Yeah,
it's gonna be fly as shit, right?" So, so we're doing that, and he goes, "I don't care if we see anything, but by walking around,
you saw everything.
We saw more than my daughter and I saw with intention to see things."
God, kids are great, aren't they?
So it was nuts, man. This Pokemon, I mean, I know people have been hit by cars and stuff walking into streets, but
I mean,
it does get you out and moving and seeing things.
Yeah, especially if you're in San Francisco, go to any of those parks.
Yeah, I'd been to San Francisco several times, and I hadn't seen a lot of the things I saw with my son. I saw some beautiful architecture, just different parts of the city that were amazing.
Before you started bringing the kids on the road, at least regularly, did you ever, are you like, you just hang out at the hotel, or do you go out and explore the town anyway?
I try to go out.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, at least walk around.
Mm-hmm.
I used to rent a car everywhere I went.
Mm-hmm.
Or, especially when I was featuring, I would drive everywhere. I rarely flew. And so I'd have my car and I'd just go check out everything, ball games, just anything to pass the time.
Oh yeah, nothing like a baseball game during the day before the shows. That's a fun time on the road.
Yeah, and then going home and telling my wife at the time, oh God, it was so hard to find things to do.
Yeah,
had to go to a baseball game.
You have to tone it. Did you ever tone it down? Like, because I don't know. I'm not married. You know how they say I don't know, in relationships and comedy, like juggling the two. You don't want to sound like you're having more fun than the other person, but you also don't want to.
Or a lot of fun without them.
Yeah.
No,
he was all right.
Well, she was raising 2 little kids with not a ton of help because we lived in a town where we didn't have any family.
Right. And you're fortunate enough to go on the road, make enough money to support the family, but you get the fun. Sometimes it seems like you get the fun part.
Yeah. So
but you're like, no, truly, we need the money. I can get the money. But you're also like, but I'm gonna have a blast while I'm doing it.
Yeah, but when you're featuring, you're not really.
Oh
making
yeah,
the
that's
money.
true. That's true. Oh, I know all about that.
You're coming home and you're like, when do you want me to deposit this $300?
Well, I'm glad everything's going well. You can find the album on iTunes.
Yes, you got I have 5, but only 4 are for sale because the first one I made.
No, you're like, no one needs to hear this.
Yeah, it was just like a way to make money on the road. Eventually, my plan is when I'm older, maybe 10 more years, breaking out and listen to it.
Yeah.
If there are still CD players available.
You haven't gone back and listened to it.
I don't think I could.
Yeah, it's rough. Which is a good thing though, because then it shows you how far you've come, at least on stage. Where you're like, I can't believe I ever had that as a thought.
Well, I'm sure I was just as much of a little shit as I am now, but.
But things are going good. So there you have it. Chad Daniels. Go to chaddaniels.com. Find out where Chad is performing near you and buy the album. Listen on Spotify, Pandora, all that stuff. Yeah. Thanks for joining me, Chad.
Oh, thanks. Oh, one more thing. I also have Dan Cummins and I recorded something really cool for Pandora. The guy that does the comedy section there, Drew, asked us if we would do kind of like a behind the music, but for our bits.
Yes.
So we both picked our 10 favorite bits, and then he and I just listened to them and discussed them.
From your albums?
Yeah.
Sweet.
And so you can go to Pandora. It hasn't, I think it's launching sometime in April, but you can go and you can listen to us talk about our favorite bits. But it was a really fun time hanging out with Cummins.
Oh, that's so cool.
He's
so
a
you guys,
funny, smart dude.
So yeah, he's hilarious too, man. That's had you guys got to sit in the same room and do this together?
No, we did it from
just wherever
different cities. Yeah.
Okay, so you're talking about your own bits, right? Not.
Well, I'm talking about his bits.
Yeah.
Too.
So you talk. So you guys talk about each other's.
Yep. And then we don't know exactly who else will be on it.
Okay.
But it would have been fun to be able to interview them too. But
they should do more of those.
Maybe next time. Yeah, I hope they do. I really hope they do.
That would be a fun podcast too. Just like let's go over let's listen together.
Oh yeah, I think Mike Birbiglia has a. Called the old ones, maybe?
Where he was going back because he's prepping his new one, and he was going back over it, and he would invite I think he's had John Mulaney.
Yeah, that's the one I listened to.
Yeah,
where he invites his friends and they talk about old albums, and then they kind of just veer off into different things.
God, it is fun to listen to your old shit and just go. I mean, it's either embarrassing or or for you, or you're just like, this isn't me anymore.
Yeah, I think I will eventually do that.
But someone who discovers you, goes, oh, I wonder if this guy's got any older stuff out, but they go back and find it. I feel like people understand like this is some old shit, but you can hear how the act has changed too.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of times after the show, people will come up and say, "I can't believe your son's 18. We've been hearing about him since he was 4."
Oh my god,
and
that is crazy to think about.
Yeah, it is nuts.
Yeah, because if you look at a celebrity where it's like, oh, that kid, like a Kanye West kid, that kid is never gonna know a life without fame,
right?
As an individual, not just I'm a kid of 2 famous people. That kid's famous.
It's nuts.
But on like a minuscule level, where it's just like it's weird to think that some lady in San Francisco is like, oh my god, this is the kid that I've been, then references a bit that you had about,
and I that's all Pandora.
Yeah, how many? You just posted a picture of how many listens you had on Pandora. Yeah, so it was absurd. It was something
weekly.
Crazy.
I'm getting 1.5 million spins.
That is amazing.
But it's because the people at Pandora are putting me everywhere. It's so nice of them and so kind. I don't know why they're doing it, but I'm so thankful they are because people are coming out more and more every week, and they're talking to me about Pandora and listening to me at work and whatever else.
Yeah.
So if you want, make a Chad Daniels station, and then you'll hear a commercial from me about when I'll be in your town.
Hell yeah. We'll do it up. Get in touch with Chad Daniels, everybody. Thanks, Chad. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.